Hey guys, it's Liz here again, and welcome to day 8. 8, that's 5 plus 3 of my 12 days of self-care challenge. If you're joining us for the very first time, my 12 days of self-care challenge started the day after Christmas, and for 12 days I'm doing Facebook Lives every day to share self-care tips and information and inspirations to help all of us remember to do the things that we need to do to take better care of ourselves in the new year. So first, let me say Happy New Year and welcome back to work, everybody. Well, for most people, and if you're still on vacation, I'm jealous. So, but good for you. You know, taking vacations is a important part of your self-care process as well. And if you're new, if you're tuning in for the very first time, yes, there's singing involved because the 12 Days of Self-Care Challenge is inspired by the 12 Days of Christmas. So every day, I'm talking about what my true self gave to me as part of my self-care journey. So day 1 was all about the basic stuff, taking care of the stuff that's at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's your safety, your security, and your physiological needs, and being a better patient and taking better care of yourself that way. Then we talked about day 2, stimulating our limbic systems and our senses in a positive way, because that helps to improve our moods and our emotions and make us feel better from the inside out. Then day 3 was about feeding our minds carefully, because we are what we eat. And I shared some of my favorite things to watch and read. And day 4 was about physical activity, getting up, moving around, and making sure that we're being physically fit. Nobody's saying go out and run your next marathon unless you're so inclined, but that's really not what self-care is necessarily about. It's about just getting up, getting moving, and that's part of taking care of your temple or your body. And then day 5, which is always my favorite line in the song, 5 minutes to breathe. Just taking a time out for ourselves and setting office hours and healthy boundaries to make sure that we take the time that we need for ourselves. And if you're an introvert like I am, that's a critical part of your process. But even if you're an extrovert, you need to kind of unplug and take a time out and woo-saw it out once in a while. So that's what day 5 was about. Day 6 was about music and how that soothes the soul, and how music can pump you up when you're down and it can chill you out when you're wired up. And it can also help you connect with your identity and what you stand for from an anthem perspective. So that was day 6. Day 7 was about connecting or reconnecting and nurturing and staying connected with your tribe, your friends, your family, your network, your cheerleaders, those people who, as my soror cousine Victoria likes to say, has my front, my back, my left, my right, my sides, my corners, everything. Those people who surround you, and make it sure, because we need those connections in our lives to keep us going. That's part of our self-care journey as well. And today, well, we're just going to get right into what today is about, and I will start. Let me warm up my voice. Me. It's not going to help any because I still can't sing. You guys know that already because it's day 8. So no surprise that I can't sing. But I'm going to sing it anyway because, you know, I've been asked, how come, you know, you're having so much fun or taking something, kind of serious and making so light of it. I was like, because it is serious. And people who are stressed out, burnt out, bummed out, not neglecting themselves, we tend to get into a very negative mental space. And so if you've read my book, if you follow my blog or anything, you can see that I try to I take all of that very seriously, because these are things that I have struggled with my entire life. And part of the reason why I do what I do is because I want to save people 20, 30, 40 years of learning that I went through. And accelerate your process so you can get to a better place mentally, physically, emotionally, or whatever you need to get to. And so when I'm talking about self-care, it's very, very serious stuff. But it's so serious that sometimes it's a little scary, and sometimes we're a little reluctant to get started on that, on doing the work that we need to do to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that was caused by the rain, right? So I like to just keep it light. I keep it serious, and I try to keep it informative and informational and tactical and helpful, but you have to also have a little bit of fun with it. I try to keep it light to keep people connected to what we're saying, to help keep things in perspective. Because when we get down and out and depressed or whatever, little things, there's an expression, we make mountains out of molehills, and sometimes we think it's a mountain when it's just a little molehill. But that molehill can seem insurmountable when we're going through something. So I like to try to have a little bit of fun along the way to help keep things in their proper perspective, which is what my approach to this 12 days of self-care is really all about. And that brings me to today's song. So for day 8, let's check in, and I'm going to get right into what my true self gave to me. Okay. So on the 8th day of self-care, my true self gave to me 8 mani-pedis, 7 friends for dinner, 6 awesome playlists, 5 minutes to 4 yoga classes, 3 Kindle books, 2 scented candles, and a blanket with a cup of green tea. Okay, I told you I like to remix it a little bit. So today is 8 mani-pedis. Yes, that's manicures and pedicures. And they represent taking time to luxuriate every once in a while. And you can luxuriate on a budget. Okay, but we are worth it. You are worth it. You are the most important person in your life. Even if you have somebody whose life you're responsible for, whether it's a child, a pet, a friend, a loved one, if you're a caregiver, you're giving elder care or what, it doesn't really matter, because you can't take care of those people who are and lives that you're responsible for unless you yourself are taken care of. And you have to be as good a steward of yourself as you are for the people who you love and take care of. So every once in a while, you've got to spoil yourself. You have to take time to spoil yourself. Why? Because you are worth it, and you have to remember that, and sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we are worth it, because we get so tired, we get so worn out. We're working, taking care of everything else, handling business, doing this, doing that, doing the other thing. You get worn out. Like, you just literally start to feel like a workhorse. You really start to, and you wonder, okay, is all I'm worth what, my paycheck or what I'm doing, or helping this person or helping that person, whatever. We get lost in the sauce sometimes because our focus is on giving care to everybody else. So every now and then we got to pause and spoil ourselves and luxuriate. Treat yourself to a manicure and a pedicure. It doesn't have to be a big budget, $100, $200. You don't have to spend $200 on a pedicure. You don't even have to go to the spa to do it, right? You can just, get yourself a little thing of nail polish or whatever, and a little bin to soak your hands, soak your feet, and polish your own nails. Or if you have get with your best friend and do each other's nail, you can go back to the old school way of doing things when you were broke and had no money and life was good. Or when you were a little kid, reconnect to that. You don't have to spend tons of money to spoil yourself once in a while, but it's important that you do. You can treat yourself to a decadent dessert every now and then. I'm not saying eat decadent desserts, 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, but every now and then treat yourself, because you're worth it. You deserve it. I treat myself. Most of my treats for myself are connected to personal goals that I set up for myself. When I was in my 20s, after I graduated from college, I was used to driving cars that, I was thankful to have a car when I was in college, but the car that I got in college, that my parents bought me in college, and I was so grateful to have it, had over 100,000 miles on it when they gave it to me. And it was almost like 15, 20 years old when they gave it to me. And I had it another like almost 8 years, 5 years, 10 years after that. And put another 100 miles on. So I turned it over and everything. And when I paid for my first car, I said, you know what? It wasn't the car. It wasn't my dream car. It was a nice car. It was a car that I could afford. But I set a goal for myself that when I'm 30, when I'm 35, I want a Mercedes. It seems so far out of reach. And and I picked Mercedes because I did my little research. And at the time, I thought it was a reliable car because I was tired of having cars that broke down all the time and everything. So I set this goal for myself that I was going to treat myself. I was going to do what I call a responsible splurge. And that gave me like about 10, 15 years at the time to save my money, get myself together, make sure that I was doing all the right thing. And by the time I was 35, I could go and buy this Mercedes. This is what happens when you're 20 years old and you're setting goals for yourself. But that stuck with me. And guess what happened? When I was 31, 32 years old, I think, I bought the car 3 or 4 years ahead of schedule, and I paid it off in 3 years. And I was so proud of myself, not just because I was driving a Mercedes and being all fancy and everything. It had nothing to do with that. It was because I worked hard and I stayed the course and I was disciplined for all those years in between. And I set out, I claimed this, what I thought was kind of an unattainable goal for myself when I was 20, because I had no job then and was still finishing school and everything like that. I didn't know how I was going to get it done, but I claimed it, and it was always, part of the programming in my head. And I set out and I got this car 3 years ahead of schedule, paid it off 2.5 years ahead of schedule, and it just felt great, not because I was driving a fancy car, but because I achieved my goal. I was proud of myself, and it represented something very, very special to me. So most of my goals, like if I see something that's a little pricey, a little too fancy for, for me to just plop down my money and go and buy it, I'll say, you know what? I'm going to treat myself to that when I accomplish this. And then I make it happen for myself. So if you got a big ticket item, you can use that approach too. But let's take the big ticket items off of the table for a minute. Let's talk about the little things. I used to be someone who was so frugal and so cheap and stuff like that. I'd wear, ladies, you can relate to this. I'd wear my socks or my pantyhose or my tights, and they had holes in it. As long as I could get them up, as long as the holes weren't showing publicly and I could get them up my legs, I would wear them. I'd wash them 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times and wear them over and over and over again because I was cheap. I was like, no, I can't afford it. And it's like, yes, you can. Why? You deserve, you don't have to be a ragamuffin. You work too hard and you are worth it. You can find the money in your budget. Maybe that's, one less trip to Starbucks or whatever it is, but you deserve it. You can do your bargain shopping. Absolutely. And your coupons and stuff like that. And I see Melody just chimed in, and I'm going to steal Melody's phrase, but if you see something that has that ooh factor and you've been doing your thing and you might not see it again, and you can still eat, pay your rent, take care of your bills, put food on the table, your kid, and take care of your responsibilities, treat yourself to that ooh. You don't do that ooh thing every day. Don't leave that ooh factor on the table, but do it responsibly. Nobody's saying go homeless, go broke, go into debt, and all of that kind of stuff. But you can do that. But those are the big ticket items. Little things that you could do. Like I said, you could give yourself a manicure, you could give yourself a pedicure, you could get with your BFF for some money, or if you could convince your boo thing to do it. I'm reminded of that scene in the first Creed movie where Michael B. Jordan was doing his girlfriend's hair. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. But you can do those things like just to indulge and splurge yourself. You can treat yourself to getting your hair done, like at a shishi foo-foo-y salon, or just go and get it done regularly. Now, I know a lot of us women, we have our appointments. We keep those appointments, and that's important as part of your self-care. One, because you want to look good, but when you look good, you feel good, right? So that's an investment that you can find a way to make and include in your budget. Spa. I love going to the spa. And I think I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that there are now these spa subscription services where for about, $70 a month or something like that, you can get a spa treatment every single month and treat yourself. That's your time. Get your 5 minutes to breathe. Actually, if you do that, you can get 60 or 90 minutes to breathe. There are lots of things that you can do. I talked about it earlier. Just soak your feet once in a while. Soak in a hot tub. Treat yourself to some scented bubble baths or shower gels or a mask or whatever. Like, do these little things. Pamper yourself. Luxuriate. Spoil yourself. If you have a jacuzzi or jetted tub at home, even better. Run that thing every now and then, okay? Use your good china. Don't wait until the Pope and Barack and Michelle Obama come to visit for dinner, okay? Because that could be a little bit far off. Scheduling them is a little difficult. Use your good china. That's why you have it, for special guests. And who's the most special guest in your house? You are, okay? So break out that new china, break out that special china, and use it. Now, I'm not saying use the good china when your 3-year-old niece and nephew come around or anything like that, but use your good dishes, okay? You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? Use that special tea in the cupboard just for guests, right? You're the most special guest in your household. So use that once in a while. Why? Because you're worth it. If you want a piece of dark chocolate, like I like it every now and then, if you happen to saunter by the Godiva store, you can buy yourself one piece of chocolate. It's not going to stop you from living. It's not going to take food off your table or a roof over your head. Now, if you do it all the time, that's another situation. But every now and then, if you want a chocolate-covered strawberry, don't wait for Valentine's Day or the next wedding you go to or whatever. Just buy yourself a box of chocolate-covered strawberries and enjoy it. Why? Because you are worth it. Don't wait for your boo thing, your spouse, your whomever to send yourself some flowers. Treat yourself to some flowers. Put them in your office. Put them in your home or whatever. Why? Because you're worth it. You deserve these things. Okay? So do it every now and then. Psychologically, you owe it to yourself. And we already talked about some of the neurological, physiological benefits of things that feel good, smell good, look good, stimulating our senses and stuff like that. So why do we get caught up into the superwoman? Oh, we've got to struggle and it's got to be so hard and everything like that. If you believe in the Bible from a Christian perspective, you know that there's a land of milk and honey out there for you, right? And it's yours. You just have to claim it in his name, right? Like, I love this song by Howard Hewitt, Say Amen. He says, there's cattle on 1,000 hills. And all you have to do is claim it in his holy name. It's yours. And I'm not a biblical, religious person or anything like that. But I'm just saying, you are intended to live your best life, like that song goes, right? And the way to do that is to give yourself permission to say, you know what? I'm going to treat myself to this today. It's not going to financially kill me. It's not, it's not something I do every day. I'm not being irresponsible just because I deserve it, right? I mean, we do these things for other people all the time. One of the things that I teach in my work-life balance class is, what would you do? WW, you do. What would you do if you were out shopping or doing whatever with your best friend on the face of the planet, whoever that is, and they saw, I don't know, chocolate-covered strawberries in the window. I'm making this up. And they saw that, and they were like, oh, wow. All right, yeah, I got to get me some of those one day. You'd be like, what's wrong with you? Man, you better go in there and get yourself some chocolate-covered strawberries. You know what I mean? Because you don't do it every day. So treat yourself. Tomorrow's not promised. So you got to make today count, okay? And Again, I'm saying do everything, all things in moderation. You can't luxuriate every day, but you know what you can do? Instead of getting those $2 slippers at Five Below, treat yourself to a nice pair of slippers, maybe at I don't know, Macy's or Lord and Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Or treat yourself to something, not like the next time, make those practical splurges like me with my car, right? Save yourself, be disciplined. So when it's time to make that next big purchase, you can do it without guilt, fear, apology, or second guessing yourself. Why? Because you work hard, you've put the work in, you've made the sacrifices, you've planned, you know what? You deserve this. It's yours, so go get it. And then on the day-to-day stuff, you don't have to get those scratchy, semi-flammable pajamas. Treat yourself to a nice pair of silky smooth, or warm and fuzzy toasty pajamas or whatever, because you deserve it. You got to make these trade-offs for yourself. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. So today is all about walking in your self-esteem, walking in the ultimate act of self-care is self-love, and demonstrating that to yourself. And part of that is, taking care of your doctor's appointments, making sure you handle your business, that your bills are paid, and all that kind of stuff. But when all that kind of business-like stuff is done, and you're contemplating that little thing that you want to treat yourself to, should I get the name brand or the generic? Get the name brand. It's okay. It's not going to kill you. Trust me. And you know what I mean? So we just have to learn to spoil ourselves and luxuriate once in a while. If you've been following the series, there's been so many ideas shared around things to do that and stuff like that. But what I'm talking about today is more about your mindset and realizing, you know what? I deserve this. I've earned this. Darn, you know what I mean? I'm going to get it. When I get X amount in the bank, I'm going to walk in that store and I'm going to go get whatever. I purchased my first Movado watch that way. Like for years, I wanted a Movado watch, and I wanted it, and I had to talk myself into getting it when I had the money and I paid cash for it at the Movado outlet. I still wasn't trying to pay retail, and I still was like, and for me, psychologically, because somewhere in the back of my head, I thought maybe I don't deserve it, maybe I'm being irresponsible, maybe this, maybe that. But I'm like, wait, I got cash, my bills are paid, I've been working, I've been saving for this thing for years. You know what? I'm going to go in there and get the watch that I want. Period. Full stop. No, why do I feel guilty about this? But anyway, I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So today is just a day to remind yourself that you are awesome. You deserve it. You deserve the very best things in life. Nobody wants you to be broke, but the universe wants you to have the best. The universe and that doesn't mean spending lots of money. It doesn't mean brand names and fancy things and everything. It just means that if you want to do something nice for yourself today, go ahead. Use the good china. Okay? Toss out those pantyhose with all the holes in it and just go buy a new pair. Okay? And, save for those responsible splurges. And when the time comes to spend that money, treat yourself. You've earned it. You've put in the work. You've done all the right things. You've made all the right moves. Go get your Mercedes. Okay? So anyway, that's all I have to say today. That's what day 8 is about. I want to thank all of you guys for joining in. I'm going to give an extra special shout out to Tracy Davis Edwards, who's on today. She has been here every single day, and she's a longtime friend of mine. And Tracy, my fellow sister Greek, I love you. I appreciate you for being here. Melly Mel, hey Karen, I'm so glad you guys are here. If what I'm saying resonates with you, do me a favor, share it with other people, share the replay with other people, because why I'm doing this, I'm really doing this to try to help other people change their mindsets and really recommit to taking better care of themselves, so that they can take care of the things and people and causes and things in their lives that they care the most about in this new year and beyond. So with that, I'm going to leave you with this, and I will look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Come back for day 9. We're almost done. And if you missed any of the previous videos, they're all on my Facebook page and they're on my YouTube page, and they're also now posted on my website at liznollytillman.com. And before I sign off, let me leave you guys with this. So on the 8th day of self-care, my true self gave to me 8 mani-pedis, 7 friends for dinner, 6 awesome playlists, 5 minutes to breathe, 4 yoga classes, 3 Kindle books, 2 scented candles, and a blanket with a cup of green tea. Good night, everybody. Hope to see you tomorrow.